American soldiers preparing for war are told something extraordinary. They are told that if they defeat Iran, Jesus Christ will return, that this conflict is not just strategic, not just political, but prophetic, that it is connected to biblical scripture, that it could lead to Armageddon. And according to multiple media reports, this message was allegedly delivered under the leadership of Donald Trump. Yes, that is the headline that has gone viral across international platforms. Over the past few days, several global outlets have reported that certain U.S. Army commanders framed the war in religious terms during internal briefings. Soldiers were reportedly told that this battle is part of God's larger plan. Some reports even claim that Trump was described as someone chosen to help bring about this historic moment. If true, this is not ordinary wartime messaging, because traditionally the United States justifies military action using strategic language, national security, defense interests, protection of allies, counterterrorism, stability in the region, not prophecy. So why introduce religion into a modern geopolitical conflict? To answer that, we need to understand the ground situation. American troops are once again deeply involved in a Middle Eastern confrontation. Just a few years ago, in 2021, the US withdrew from Afghanistan after 2 decades of war. That conflict cost trillions of dollars and thousands of lives. Many Americans believe that era of endless wars was finally over. Now, by 2026, the United States is again engaged in a high-stakes conflict involving Iran. Naturally, soldiers are asking a basic question. Why are we entering another war in this region? When morale becomes uncertain, governments sometimes lean on ideology. History shows that when strategic explanations grow complicated, leaders may frame conflicts as moral battles. Destiny, faith, good versus evil. And that is where the religious rhetoric becomes significant. The term Armageddon carries enormous symbolic weight. In Christian theology, it represents the final battle between forces of good and evil before the end of days. To use that language in a military context transforms the psychological framing of the war. It stops being about borders and oil routes. It becomes something cosmic. But let's move from rhetoric to reality. Members of Congress in the United States receive classified briefings about ongoing operations. While they cannot disclose sensitive details, several senators have made cautious public remarks after attending these briefings, and their tone has been concerning. Some lawmakers have stated that the situation is more complex than expected. Others have suggested that there is no clearly defined long-term strategy. A few have warned that the U.S. risks sliding into another prolonged conflict. The phrase "forever war" has resurfaced. There are fears that if escalation continues, troop deployment could expand. Air and naval operations could turn into something far larger. Casualties could rise, retaliatory attacks could intensify. Meanwhile, Iran has not collapsed under pressure. Despite targeted strikes and leadership losses, Tehran continues to respond. Drone activity in the region persists. Oil facilities have been targeted. Maritime security has been challenged. The Strait of Hormuz remains one of the world's most critical energy choke points. Any prolonged disruption there has immediate global consequences. Oil prices react. Energy markets tighten. Inflation pressures increase worldwide. This is not just an American issue. It affects Europe, Asia, developing economies. Even countries far removed from the battlefield feel the ripple effects through fuel costs and supply chains. At the same time, another development has added fuel to the debate. A website titled the Iran War Cost Tracker has appeared online, estimating how much money the United States is spending on the conflict in real time. Billions of dollars have reportedly already been spent, with the counter rising every second. Whether this tracker is officially linked to Tehran or run by activist groups is unclear, but its impact is powerful. It puts a visible price tag on war, and when citizens see billions ticking upward, they start asking hard questions. Many American voters expected economic reform. They expected lower spending, stronger domestic investment, and reduced foreign entanglements. Instead, they are watching another expensive overseas conflict unfold. This creates political tension at home. So once again, we return to the central issue. Why frame the war in religious terms? When strategic explanations become difficult to sustain publicly, ideological narratives can fill the gap. Framing a war as part of divine prophecy can strengthen morale among some audiences. It can turn policy into purpose, but it also carries risks. The American military is religiously diverse. The country itself is pluralistic. Introducing explicit theological messaging into state conflict blurs the line between faith and foreign policy. It also shapes how adversaries and allies interpret the war. From a geopolitical perspective, the key question is duration. Short conflicts can be politically manageable. Governments can justify cost with quick results. But long wars drain economies, strain alliances, and shift global power balances. Even superpowers face limits. Sustained military spending affects budgets. Budgets affect inflation. Inflation affects voters. And voters eventually demand accountability. Energy markets are already cautious. Global investors are watching closely. Other major powers are observing the situation, calculating how this conflict could reshape regional influence. History teaches us something important. Wars rarely unfold exactly as leaders expect. They expand. They evolve. They create unintended consequences. Strip away the religious rhetoric. Remove the dramatic headlines. What remains is a high-stakes geopolitical confrontation between powerful states with global economic implications. Whether this remains contained or escalates into something far larger will depend on decisions made in the coming months. And in moments like this, clarity matters more than emotion. We will continue to track every development closely. As new updates emerge, I will bring you detailed, fact-based analysis.